working on your low budget film. You got your costumes, your lighting's great, your actors are on point, and then this happens.
No. You put them just past the dumpster, didn't you?
So, as any filmmaker will tell you, having bad sound will pretty much kill anything else that you've done. And in that case, although we did have windscreens, we had foam or dead cat style windscreens, and it just wasn't enough to deal with the amount of wind that we had. And most of our shots were exteriors. What we needed was something like a Blimp style windscreen. And I'm going to show you how you can make your own for under $10. Now, what we're actually going to make the Blimp from is this plastic mesh that you can get from the yarn section in most craft stores, and these plastic balls that you also get in the yarn section in most craft stores, and a shock mount. It doesn't have to be super special. It's this is the cheapest one I could find, which is like $2.74 or something like that. You just need a shock mount that's going to fit on whatever you want to fit it on, or you have your adapters for it. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is determine how long our Blimp's going to be. So I've got my XLR cable on there, so I know how long I need to go. On the front, you can put it right up on the edge, because remember that the dome is going to extend past that, so it's not like it's going to bump into the edge there. And back here, I'm going to leave a little bit of extra wiggle room for the cord. So instead of marking it right there, I'm going to put it right out here. And I'm just going to make a little line there, so I know this is the length. And then for the width, this is a little trickier, but I'll show you how to do it really easy. Take one of your pieces of paper and one of your domes, and the width is going to be based on what we need to do to wrap around like this, right? Now you see it's a little long, that's okay. So first take an edge, any edge will do. Now don't do it this way, do it this way. Remember, it's a sphere, so this is half of the width of this, and that's really all we need for this. So we're going to go like that, wrap it around here, and then I'm going to make a little mark. Now we know this is half of our total width. Even though my paper's not long enough, that's okay. So I can figure that out. I now look at here and I go, okay, that's, I could have done it at the edge, but I didn't. Half of my width is right there. Mark that on the plastic. Come back and do it again. And the rest of my width is here. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of an overlap because we need to be able to attach it to itself, otherwise it's going to be a solid seam. So I'm going to give it, let's count some dots here. I'm going to give it 6 extra little grids worth. Now this is my cut line. So now I know that it's this long and this tall. Okay, so we're done cutting. Now you see, if you take this and you roll it up, that it's now going to fit your dome. Ta-da! See? Ooh. Okay, so now we need to account for where our shock mount is going to sit. So we're going to pick an edge. I have my pen here. And some people prefer that their shock mount is right in the center, but obviously you can put it wherever it's going to hold, sit a little better. So I'm going to put mine right here. Now, I know where my shock mount is going to be, and now you're going to make a mark for it. See, what we're going to do is we're actually going to attach to this bottom bar section. So I need to make marks where that's going to be. I'm going to flip it this way. I can see that the bar is from here to here. And I also need to make a notch to allow for that part to go through. So let's see if you can see that okay. I tilt it at an angle. See how I'm going to make a notch. Out of the grid. And that'll allow that part to settle in there. And we are going to cut this notch out first. Let's set that in there, see how that sits. Okay, that sits pretty nicely, and you can see that I have a space to attach to still. I'm going to set mine a little further in just so I have more room to overlap. And there we go. Okay, so now I have a little overlap. You can see as I roll around the bottom. Now when I roll it, I need to make sure it overlaps on the other side. Now, because this is a nice handy little grid, you can just follow your line to the other side. Just line up with your little grid and get over there, and you're going to make a matching notch on the opposite side. Okay, and I did 4 over, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I made it a 4x4 grid. Okay, I'll take the shock mount again, slide it in there, roll this over, and it should line up, which it does. When it's a big piece like this, it's a little harder to hold on to. But yes, it does line up. Okay, and I have enough room. Okay, so you see it's wiggling around like there, and that's not very stable, but that's what the zip ties are for. So we're going to put our zip ties on. Now it's important when you do the first set, because we're going to do this set and then we're going to roll it and do the other two, that the connector part for the zip tie is on the inside of the plastic mesh. So you want to come in from the inside when you put the first piece in. Get your first piece tightened. You don't have to worry about holding the second part. Come in from the inside. Boop. Hopefully you can see that past my big old arm. And come back this way. That's as close as I can get. I'm trying to get only 3 spaces between. Let's try that one. Put that in there. Get nice and tight. So you got a nice snug hold on your grip. Come back here, grab another one, and do the same thing. And come through from the inside. Same row, if you notice. Put them there. Cut out the excess. Okay, so this is holding on pretty nicely now. We're going to wrap it around and bring our other piece up. Make sure you get on either side of your neck. Okay, try to line your grid up as best you can. Like that. There you go. Then you can zip tie through the holes into the other holes. Now, before you get all solid here, double check, make sure your circle's still going to fit. If I put amount of overlap. If I made too much, my circle will go inside. That's okay. You just don't want to make it too small because then you don't have anything to really hold to. All right. Give you a little pro tip here. If you try to do it like this, you will want to punch yourself in the face over and over. Instead of making a tube and trying to reach your hand inside, pay attention to where your holes were. I had this hole lined up with that hole, and so I'm coming out 1, 2, 3 next to it. So I know that when it comes back up again, it needs to be 1, 2, 3 exiting. Now I'm not going to tighten this. I'm merely going to stick it through just enough for it to hear that first click and keep it loose. Now see, you can continue to do this the whole way down, keeping it loose, and you don't have to worry about trying to cram your hand inside this narrow tube shape. So let's fast forward until we get all that done. Okay, so we've got them all loosely attached, and now you're just going to go tighten them all up. We're going to make an extra notch for this lever now that we know exactly where it sits. Okay, so now you can see I've got my mic in the shock mount inside. It's held away from the sides. So that's pretty good. I probably have mine a little longer than I need. I might be able to trim some of this off. But basically this is your first start for your blimp. Now we gotta put the ends on. With your cord, I know that there are some that will actually go down into your boom that cover around this way. I'm just going to let mine curve out from the back, so I'm probably going to put a little notch right there to account for the cable. But if I have the shorter mic in there, it'll be further back, it'll still be in there. So now we're going to put the domes on the end, and you see when I tighten mine up, it ended up just a tiny, whoa, tiny bit bigger than the dome. That's okay though, because we're going to use zip ties. And so what you want to do is take your Sharpie again, make your life a little easier. The holes on these tend to be smaller than the holes on this other plastic. It's made from a different plastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up where I'd like my dome to go, and I'm going to make a couple of marks. So I'm going right here. Now, because this grid is a little bit smaller and the zip ties are going to have a bit of a pain coming through, I'm actually just going to use the clippers and clip out a little extra gap to make that one section just a little bit wider. Now we've got the dome attached on one end. Now you may be wondering, well, if we attach the dome on the other end, how are we ever going to get the mic in? Aha, I'm glad you asked. So we take our other dome, and see I've already cut a notch now for my cable to come out. And this one is only going to hinge on the end. So remember that trick we used earlier to get the measurement on the dome? You can do the same thing when you want to cover your dome with your dead rat marker. You're covering this part. That was a Pokeball, not another thing. So same thing, roll to the edge, make a mark. Roll to your edge, make a mark. You're going to have a square from these 2 points, and then we're going to cut out that square. So now you got your fancy little square. You'll go, but this is a circle. Yes, it is. But you'll notice if you tuck it up, it comes and meets all your edges. Now I'm going to sew mine, but if you hot glue it, you're going to get the same result basically. If you tuck it up, you got your oddball little corner sticking out. You can, if you're good at drawing a circle, just round those off and they'll meet up exactly on your edges. If not, you can also just put a little cut in the corners and they'll tuck nicely. But it really doesn't matter because you're just going to attach it onto your other piece anyways, and you don't need it to be perfect. So there's your first piece to cover your dome. Big old curved needle to stitch on the end cap. You see it makes a fluffy little top on there. And now I can take a long piece like so, and we're going to use it to cover the body of it. And we're just going to wrap it around. And you see there's a little gap on this side, but we have a leftover from the other strip that we could put along here, and repeat the same thing. If you want to be all snazzy about it, make sure your pile goes the same way. Then either start this way and add on so that you can add on to there, or tuck your other end on first. And the good part about this is that it's actually easier to sew the dome separate than to do it on here, although you can overlap it a little bit on this end. But if you want to sew your dome separately first, you can do that instead and then zip tie what you sewed on onto there, and then you got a little fuzzy butt on the end of your blimp. So I'm going to sew this on and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Alright, so got our little end still swiveling, and I noticed now that I have these flaps hanging over, this might be a little easier. All I have to do now is tuck it over and put on a handy dandy rubber band. I didn't mean to rhyme all that, by the way, to hold it in place. It also lets me know which end is the back and which end is the recording end. God, it's so big it barely fits in the shot. So there we go. We're going to take it outside and get some sound tests and see what our comparisons are. I went to go test outside and realized there was no wind, so we've simulated some wind. I've got the fan on high. Now the frame rate's making it look like it's going slowly, but you'll see it's definitely not. So naked microphone. Sorry, that's the sound of me pulling it out of the Shockmount. can hear the sound of the fan, but you're not hearing the sound of the wind. And even with the dead cat, it may seem like it's blocking the sound, but you can really tell the difference when you tilt it up. No matter which way the blimp is facing, it's not feeling the wind. Now, mind you, if you are doing a big budget film, you have absolutely no reason to do this. Go out and spend the money. But for those of us who are doing low budget or zero budget student films, this is a great way to save your sound for only about $10 and a little bit of time. So I know it's not perfect, but go try it out for yourself. I'd love to hear your tests too. I've been blowing fans and air horns and all sorts of things at mine. It's worked out pretty well so far. But thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you guys. Bye.